Good morning, comic book fans. Welcome back to Comics in 5 Minutes. I'm your ever Shorty, and I'm sorry that this one's taken a while to do. It's been a busy couple of days for Ka-Pow Comics. There's going to be an announcement soon about why and what that's going to mean. But for now, we are going to crack on, and I'm going to review Barnstormers. Another one of those Comixology ones that Scott Snyder's done. And it is worth, again, just talking about how cool it is that this is what he's doing. Because Scott Snyder and his other creators make their money doing the Comixology thing. And then they seem to be able to just go to comic book publishers and be like, hi, make physical copies for us. And they've made their money, so as long as they get their residual payments, they're not losing any money doing it. It means they only charge $5 for something that's like twice the size of a regular comic book with no adverts. And if your absolute bare minimum metric for a good comic book is good value for money, always bet on Snyder for this kind of thing, because he's done some bangers as well. The Dark Space stuff has been great. Night of the Ghoul was fantastic. My personal favourite out of the lot so far has been Clear, but I'm a cyberpunk fan, so absolutely. And this is another one of those just like genre piece things which I really like, and it's really worth talking about. Now, in terms of genre, what we're talking about is post-First World War, pulp, action, and adventure. And this covers like a gamut of different things you can do with it. In this particular case, we are talking over-the-top action adventure, romance, mystery, betrayal, murder, lots of heavy crime stuff going on. There's a Pinkerton involved, but he's been hired by a capitalist pig dog. So we've also got some class stuff going on there. And then there's also... And I'm not entirely sure that if this would count as a spoiler or not. I mean, it doesn't hide anything, it doesn't change anything, but it does differentiate from the standard kind of idea of this era of stories and makes it a little bit more like The Rocketeer by also having some kind of sci-fi horror threat going on. But, and this is the important thing, I don't know if it's actually a sci-fi horror threat, because the guy seeing it has been through a world war and might just be exceptionally traumatized. He's been in a mental asylum. Maybe this is his PTSD coming out in ways that only he can understand. Now, I actually love this as an idea. I think sometimes we simplify what PTSD might mean for people, of just being shocked by a loud noise and stuff, or we simplify what trauma means for anyone. Is why trigger warnings and content warnings is just because we don't always know what it is that's going to affect people and how it's going to affect them. So this could just be Snyder's take on something like that. But it is Scott Snyder, so it might just be genuine sci-fi horror going on. And if it is, I'm also absolutely fine with that. It fits perfectly and well with the setting and with the genre. Because with pulp, you do have that freedom to do it. Go and read Al Ewing's amazing La Sombra trilogy for those. I mean, it's absolutely outstanding. For this one, what we are dealing with is a little bit more of the classic Americana style of it. And we do have barnstorming, which is a word I've heard repeatedly in my life, but only when I read this did I realise that it's actually a specific name for a type of aerial daredevilry, basically flying close to the ground and zipping over barns and what have you, and doing loop-de-loops and all that kind of thing. And we have a guy who's basically doing this after the First World War. His entire idea was to make his money doing this and go from town to town, show off how good he is, and get people to jump in the plane with him and do loop-loops and freak them out and get paid for it. But he's been really struggling. He's not enough to get crowds together, and it all goes terribly, terribly wrong when he ends up kind of through no fault of his own, but also because he is kind of a little bit too full of himself, getting himself embroiled in a massive event, a wedding of a very wealthy capitalist. But then this also spins into betrayal and backstabbing and kidnapping and murder and theft, and a whole bunch of intrigue, and it all comes together really beautifully. And when I say beautifully, I do not want you to think I'm underselling how beautiful this is. I'm going to do that. I don't do it very often because I personally think you can just do comic book reviews without going into showing the art, just by telling you what kind of stuff you're getting. But in this particular situation, we lean very heavily into the pulp, beautiful art style. I mean, literally, woof, woof, woof. I mean, that has context within the comic book. It's not just those because it's a beautiful lady. But there is so much beauty in this comic book, just in terms of slap blinds into a darkened room with people smoking and the light piercing through the darkness and shining off the smoke. It is outstanding. It's not just pulp, it's noir. And I've got to be honest, I prefer my noir to my pulp. I'm glad they've put that in because it means it does appeal to me a little bit more. Don't get me wrong, I like Rocketeer. And I like that style of pulp. That's a bit more Saturday afternoon kind of stuff for me. This is leaning a little bit more into the Friday night kind of noir stuff, which I really like as well. Tula Latte, by the way, on the artwork is just phenomenal. I mean, I cannot fault them. Not a single bad beat at all, not a single bad panel, nothing. And they also do some fantastic little tricks of messing around with the paneling. there's quite a lot of times where you get like just dead space between in the guttering, but it's used to kind of show the anarchic nature and the extravagant things that are happening by just keeping some of the panels off tilt, and it just unsettles a little bit of the action, so you know it's not all going as it's supposed to, and that kind of playing with form is very much what I like as well. I've got to be honest, the only reason I'm not going to put this on my pull list at the moment is because I'm trying to drop a few things. I'm getting a lot of stuff. I review a lot of comic books, and there's a lot where I'm like, I'm totally going to buy that. This one, I think, like some of his other, like 3 issue or 6 issues, I suppose, technically, though, I'm going to wait for the full collection and read it all in one go. I did that with Night of the Ghoul, and I did it with Dark Spaces Wildfire, and I think it does work quite nicely. But if you are looking for some raucous action adventure, I don't think you're going to go far wrong at all, or find much better than Barnstormers. It is absolutely superb, sublime, beautifully written, and one of the most fantastic looking comic books I've seen for quite some time. Highly recommended. That's it for me for now. Probably only going to squeak in one more review this week, I'm afraid, because I'll say it's been a bit hectic. But until then, look after each other, everyone. Stay safe. Bye!